Hi, I'm Josh Fishman, president and owner of Fishman Sons Diamonds in New York. Welcome back to our Ultimate Diamond Education series. Today I would like to expand a little bit on our understanding of fancy shaped diamonds compared to round diamonds, particularly as it relates to price. Now, what I'm talking about is the difference in price between two stones, a round diamond on the one side and a fancy shaped diamond on the other. And I am assuming that both are beautifully cut, they have the same carat weight, the same clarity, the same color, the same basic statistics from the GIA, except that one is round and one is fancy, and why there might be a price differential between the two diamonds on a per carat basis. Here is the classic round diamond, and here are the various fancy shapes into which rough crystals can be cut. Let me start by giving you the answer and then the explanation. When you compare diamond for diamond with carat weight and quality and cut and beauty with the same GIA laboratory certification, a round diamond of a certain quality will always cost more per carat and for the total diamond than a fancy shape of the same carat weight, quality, and certification. Again, round diamonds are more expensive per carat. Now, there are two reasons for this to occur. One is a question of supply and demand, and two is a question of the weight loss and the ultimate yield from the rough crystal diamond when you cut a rough crystal from a natural crystal into a polished diamond. You lose more weight in cutting a round diamond, and you lose less weight when you cut into a fancy shape. Let me explain in more detail. Let's discuss supply and demand. The first thing to note is that round diamonds have historically been and continue to be the most popular shaped diamond for engagement rings. Because of the popularity, there's a much greater demand for round diamonds. And this alone is enough to push up the price of diamonds because the supply of round diamonds is not as great as can meet the demand, particularly for well-cut stones, which are harder to produce from rough than we'll call standard or ordinary cut and pretty diamonds. The second thing to note is that historically and continually, round diamonds have maintained their popularity while different fancy shaped diamonds have ebbed and flowed in their popularity. So at times, some of the fancy shapes are more expensive than they otherwise would be, and at times they're almost impossible to sell because of their unpopularity, and that ends up resulting in a lower price per carat for a similar quality diamond as a round diamond. For example, 30 years ago, marquise cut diamonds were very, very popular and so expensive that they were more expensive than round cut diamonds on a per carat basis, stone for stone. Today, that's just the opposite. Marquises are in very, very low demand and in low supply as a result because nobody wants to cut a diamond that you can't sell. And the price per carat can be 20–30% less than a round diamond for a similarly graded like stone. On the other hand, pear shapes and ovals, which were in the dumps a few years ago, have made a significant comeback, while stones like the princess cut and cushion cut and radiant have seen their popularity grow, but certainly not as much as round diamonds. That all affects the pricing of the various shapes, one against another, but the round stones have been historically, and I anticipate will continue to always be the most popular shaped diamond, and so the price will continually be higher on a per carat basis for like type of stones compared to the other fancy shapes. Now let's talk about how the yield from the rough crystal affects the pricing of a diamond. Once again, let's start with the answer. The round diamond is more expensive per carat because more of the rough crystal has to be cut away to create a round diamond than has to be cut away to create other fancy shapes. The manufacturer has spent a certain amount of money on the rough diamond crystals, and he has to yield a certain amount of money regardless of whether he ends up with a round stone or a fancy shape. But because the round stone will weigh less than the fancy shape stone, in order to yield the same amount of money, he has to charge a higher price per carat than he does for the fancy shape. We'll start by looking at some pictures of some classic crystal shapes from which diamonds are cut, both fancy shapes and primarily from round stones. This is a photograph of several crystals for rough diamonds, most of which are for round stones. While this is a classic round stone crystal, back-to-back pyramids. And this is a crystal that will be cut for a shape other than round stones. The following picture is a picture of a classic crystal for the manufacture of a round diamond. You can see that the diamond crystal looks like a back-to-back pyramid. The next image shows how that single crystal can be used to produce two round diamonds, one larger and one smaller. Note that the diamond was not cut smack in the middle to create two equal size round diamonds, but rather to create one larger and one smaller. Sometimes, if the nature of an inclusion in the crystal is smack in the middle and you want to remove it, the diamond would be cut exactly in half and you'd have two equal sized diamonds. Next is a picture of what an actual crystal looks like when it is cut in half for a smaller diamond and a larger diamond. There are two things to note from this image. One is that the diamond crystal was cut to create one larger diamond and one smaller diamond. Second, if you look at the images on the left of the rough crystal after it was cut, you can see how much weight had to be lost to cut the fine circular diamonds on the right. Next, let's look at an image which shows how the same rough crystal used for round stones can be cut into different quality cut grades for round diamonds. One ideal cut and the second standard cut, and what the weight loss fractions are for each of those cutting parameters. Let's look at these two images of diamonds cut from the same piece of rough crystal. In the center is an ideal cut center large diamond. The rough stone was cut to produce a 1 carat large center diamond. The rough lost is between 55 and 74%. On the image on the right, the weight loss is less. You end up with a carat 10 in the center stone, the larger stone, with a rough loss of about 50 to 68%. You can see that the larger diamond on the image on the right is flatter and deeper and is not as pretty as the one on the left. But you do have greater weight, and the price per carat for that stone will be less than for the ideal cut. This image explains why when you take a piece of rough and you cut it into a round diamond, you can lose more weight cutting an ideal cut diamond than when you cut a standard cut diamond, and why, accordingly, the ideal cut diamond will be a more expensive diamond per carat, all other things being equal. The same applies, of course, in cutting a round diamond versus a fancy cut diamond. You save much more weight in the cutting of the fancy diamond and accordingly can have a lower price per carat than you do for a round diamond of the same quality. I hope this has been helpful to you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me or email me. Until next time, this is Josh Fishman saying so long.